Billy Graham's grandson, Tullian Tchividjian, said some very shocking things in his latest sermon at his church, where he's the senior pastor. The church is called The Sanctuary. Let's give a short clip of this sermon a listen.
To keep this commandment, you have to do 4 things. And he shows that taking the Lord's name in vain is a much broader thing than not shouting at your kids, okay, when they make a mess, or yelling Jesus in your car at bad drivers. And let me give an apologetic for the word, okay, which is my favorite cuss word, okay, by the way, hands down my favorite cuss word. And that may be alarming to your ears, but here's why I think it is the most theologically accurate cuss word on planet Earth. It's actually a prayer. Something bad happens, something that you don't like, something that needs to be corrected. You say, in other words, what you're saying is, God, you are the only one that is capable of cleaning up this mess.
Now, there are many avenues that you could address about this situation. Now, some people online have called him disqualified because of his affair. Other people said there's no way a minister should be dressing or looking like that in the pulpit. But instead of tackling those topics, which are important to deal with, I will address what he's actually dealing with in this sermon, the breaking of the 3rd command. First, clearly, Tullian is breaking the 3rd commandment. There is no question. You cannot deny what he's doing here is a violation of the 3rd commandment. The New City Catechism says that the 3rd commandment is to treat God's name with fear and reverence. And when you use the words that he's using in this sermon, you are not using the name of the Lord with fear and reverence. And I blocked out what he said there because I do not want blasphemy on this channel. When you use the Lord's name in vain, you're not doing this. You're not showing fear or reverence for God's name. And I can't understand why he cannot see this. Furthermore, this is a serious command. And we see this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 24, verses 10 to 16. Hear God's word. Now an Israelite's woman's son, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the people of Israel. And the Israelite woman's son and a man fought in the camp. And the Israelite woman's son blasphemed the name and cursed. Then they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shalomith, and the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. And they put him in custody till the will of the Lord should be clear to them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Bring out of the camp the one who cursed, and let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And speak to the people of Israel, saying, Whoever curses his God shall bear his sin. Whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him, the sojourner as well as the native, when he blasphemes the name, shall be put to death. And if you go down to verse 23 of Leviticus 24, so Moses spoke to the people of Israel, and they brought him up out of the camp, the one who had cursed and stoned him with stones. Thus the people of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses. We see there in verse 23 that he is put to death. But I want to offer an alternative to what he says here is a prayer cussing God. I want to offer an alternative, a more biblical response to what he says you should be doing with God's name. When things aren't going your way, or when you're struggling with something, there are dozens and dozens of individual laments and communal laments in the book of Psalms. And I put those Psalms in the description of this video. We can go to a psalm inspired by God, prayed by David, and cry out to the Lord without dishonoring God's name. For instance, you can pray Psalm 13. It's a psalm of David. He's struggling. He says, How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? David's in a terrible state. How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all day? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and answer me, O Lord my God. Light up my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Lest my enemies say, I've prevailed over him. Lest my foes rejoice because I'm shaken. But I have trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he's dealt bountifully with me. There in the midst of all the trials, David says, I've trusted in the steadfast love of the Lord, and he acknowledges all the blessings that God has given him. Even in the midst of all the trials, you can pray a prayer like that. And that reminds me of Psalm 13, verse 5. The steadfast love of God points us to Jesus Christ, who suffered beyond any way that any other human being can suffer. He bore the wrath of God so that we could experience the grace of God. And if you've broken this third commandment or any commandment, and we all have, we're all sinners, Jesus Christ's grace covers your sin. If you come to him in faith, you come and you cry out, forgive my sins, have mercy upon me. But Jesus wants your speech transformed. He doesn't want this language said in a pulpit or anywhere else. Jesus wants your speech transformed so that you can glorify God with your speech, encourage people, and speak holy things. Thanks for watching, and God bless.